Hello, I'm Jasmine Iru with Midday News. Kesi Sawang, member for Rai Coast and Vice Minister for International Trade and Investment, was sworn in as Minister for Labour and Employment. Governor General Sir Bob Dadai presided over the ceremony. Prime Minister James Marape, in his congratulatory message, gave Sawang a target of replacing up to 10,000 expatriates who are holding down jobs that belong to Papua New Guineans. The Minister for International Trade and Investment, Richard Maru, thanked the Pangu Party for its confidence and trust in the People First Party with the new ministry.
We overdue and we are looking for someone who can do it. Prime Minister, thank you. You've given it to one of the best members of Parliament who can do the job. So he comes from the industry with a lot of experience, public service, and I have no doubt he will do a good job with all of our support.
PNG women take the lead in promoting gender equality and leadership as Australia awards women leading and influencing, and the PNG Australia Alumni Association recently co-hosted a women's leadership luncheon. The event celebrated the accomplishments of PNG alumni from the WLI Women's Developmental Leadership Program, while Chancellor for Australian National University Julie Bishop, a strong advocate for women in leadership, served as the guest of honor. 72 PNG women have participated in the program, which empowers women to excel in leadership roles across sectors. The collaboration highlights the commitment to fostering women's leadership and strengthening the partnership between Australia and PNG. Families of persons who went missing during the Bougainville conflict are a step closer to knowing about the fate and whereabouts of their loved ones now that the Office of the Missing in Bougainville is open.
The office was established by the autonomous Bougainville government with the technical support of the International Committee of the Red Cross. This significant milestone marks a crucial step towards addressing the issue of persons who went missing during the Bougainville conflict and providing solace to affected families. The Office of the Missing in Bougainville will serve as a dedicated institution committed to setting up a strictly humanitarian mechanism to search for the missing persons and help families, where possible, find answers to the fate and whereabouts of their loved ones. Recognizing the profound social, emotional, and psychological toll on these families, the ICRC is supporting the authorities to take a proactive stance to address these issues. The APG says it is important to realize that the issue of missing persons is not only about retrieving bones, but it is also about dealing with the trauma that people live with. Susan Oreape, TVWAN News.
In establishing a viable special economic zone project, access to a reliable power supply is important for a project like the Ihu Special Economic Zone.
A memorandum of understanding was signed between the management of the Ihu SEZ and Kumul Petroleum Holdings Limited to progress feasibility studies on power generation. The MOU signing will pave way for KPHL and Ihu SEZ Development Company to carry out feasibility studies on possible power generation solutions for the area. KPHL Managing Director Wapu Song says KPHL will look at the most appropriate power solutions for the Ihu SEZ, which could include renewable energy sources such as hydro. Ihu SEZ Development Company Managing Director Peter Kengema notes that special economic zones will not be feasible unless they have access to a source of affordable electricity. KPH will carry out feasibility studies on potential sources for the generation of electricity and make recommendations on those that are commercially viable. Susan Oreape, TVWAN News.
4 new executives from the National Airlines Employees Association was declared by PNG Electoral Commission and sworn in last Friday in Port Moresby. They are President Joe Caspar, Daphne Marin Jr., Vice President, Simeon Ealedona, Senior Vice President, and Alan Mack, Treasurer. The declaration signifies the recognitions of the role played by industrial executives in shaping up the vision and the future of the aviation industry.
To represent the workers in addressing the issues that affect not only the aviation industries, but also the very fabric of our society, industrial relations practice in the aviation sector, and the needs for social justice. The aviation industry has long been a symbol of progress, connecting people and cultures, bridging distances and fostering economic growth. It employs millions of individuals worldwide, from pilots, flight attendants to the ground, and engineers. However, as we marvel at the wonders of flight and the convenience it brings, we must not forget the human aspect that underpins this industry.
In regional news, Indonesian President Joko Widodo has arrived in Australia in what some hope will lead to concrete agreements between the neighboring countries on energy, security and trade. The head of state flew into Sydney overnight and met with business leaders this morning, before joining Prime Minister Anthony Albanese for a series of media events and closed meetings. The three-day visit to Australia is likely to be his last as president, as he nears the end of a second and final term in office. Experts say there are opportunities for closer economic ties between the two nations. Thousands of new homes have been approved in Sydney's southwest in response to the housing crisis. Community leaders in Appin says there is no infrastructure to service residents.
Tiny semi-rural village in southwest Sydney, now set to be transformed after a massive housing development was given the green light.
We are committed to ensuring that development in the future does not put more and more pressure on the outer fringe of Sydney.
The state government has approved the rezoning of land in Appin to make way for nearly 13,000 new homes. The 1,200-hectare site is owned by developer Walker Corporation. The proposal's been approved just 6 months after it was fast-tracked for assessment.
We've got a huge rezoning without clarity on what it's actually going to look like.
There are concerns the area lacks the critical infrastructure needed to support residents, including water and transport access.
If we don't have that basic enabling infrastructure, we aren't going to be able to provide for the housing needs of Sydney, and our residents are going to be even worse off.
The government says infrastructure will be delivered in a timely manner, but it's unclear when and how it'll be funded. Environmentalists have also raised concerns about the impact on the area's koala habitat.
The koala protections that we need are not being met in this proposal already. So we will see these koalas start to disappear.
The koalas here at Appin are among the last remaining in the state that are chlamydia-free. The government says more than a third of this site will be reserved for koalas, but advocates say that doesn't go far enough.
The koalas that live in this area are being shifted primarily just to private land, not to developer land. So I'm really concerned.
The developer will now complete a master plan, with lots potentially on sale next year.
The chief of the UN Nuclear Agency will visit Japan from July the 4th to the 7th to meet with Japanese leaders and see final preparations for the release of treated radioactive wastewater from the damaged Fukushima nuclear plant into the Pacific Ocean. Japan's government hopes the visit by International Atomic Energy Agency head Rafael Mariano Grossi will add credibility to the discharge plan. It has been strongly opposed by local fishing groups and by neighboring South Korea, China and some Pacific Island nations over safety concerns. The plant operator Tokyo Electric Power Company Holdings has completed construction of the equipment needed for the planned release, and Japanese regulators were finishing their final inspection on Friday. If everything goes well, TPCO is expected to receive a permit in about a week to begin the discharge, though the starting date is still undecided. And in sports, Central Queensland Capras captain Jack Madden has paid a special tribute to his back rower and UK-bound PNG international Nixon Putt. Madden praised Nixon and the PNG boys currently contracted to Capras for their commitment and hard work to the team so far this year. Capras was looking to send off Nixon on a winning note in his last game at NFS on Saturday in front of his family. Unfortunately for PNG, Hunters proved the better side, winning 14-8 in round 16 of the QRL Host Plus Cup. Speaking after the match, Madden admitted the Western Highlands native has been his role model for a few years at the club since coming across from North's Devils.
Yeah, mate, he's been massive for us for a good few years now. Nixon, he really deserves that opportunity over in the Super League at Castleford. Yeah, we wish him all the best. We're just going to make the most of the rest of the time we've got with him. Yeah, he's been my right-hand man here for a few years. He plays inside me in the back row there, and I've loved having him here, mate. He's a great back rower, great player, and a great bloke as well, a great team member.
Queensland coach Billy Slater has called on several fresh faces ahead of Game 3 of the 2023 State of Origin Series on Wednesday, July the 12th, as the Maroons look to secure the first series clean sweep in 13 years. Raiders prop Corey Hosborg has been named to make his Origin debut after he was part of the extended squad earlier in the series, while AJ Brimson takes over at fullback for Reece Walsh, who is ruled out with suspension. Horsberg's inclusion comes at the expense of Broncos prop Thomas, who is unavailable for selection with a foot injury. The Maroons are otherwise unchanged from the series, clinching win in Brisbane with Cowboys playmaker Tom Dearden named as 18th man, while Eels forward Jermaine Hopgood joins the squad as 19th man. And that's all in sports. We'll be right back at 6 p.m. news.